This is cranked. It's way back. It is gone.
Welcome back to another live edition of the Couch GM podcast. We're going to talk all things Mariners trade deadline, MLB trade deadline. I'm joined again by Gavin Height and Chad of the Up West Sports podcast. They're going to be joining me a lot more often throughout the season. I've had a change in my life. All of us are dads now. Little baby Couch GM has arrived, so priorities have shifted a little bit in the near future, but locking it back in for this Mariners playoff run. And before we get into it, make sure to check out baseballism.com. That's where I have my hat and some other great gear. Make sure to check out all the things on Baseballism for Mariners. Couch GM -15 for 15% off your order. And if you didn't already know, I'm a mortgage lender full-time when I'm not making these sports videos. Make sure to reach out. The link in the description of this video if you'd like to reach out. And if you're looking to buy, sell, or refinance on the West Coast. So Gavin, Chad, how are you guys doing? How are you feeling after the Mariners trade deadline this past week?
I was pretty excited. I don't know about you guys, but I just look at it as we covered the three main issues that we felt like going into the trade deadline, and we solved them. And just really to being on vacation this last weekend and seeing how we performed against those teams. I mean, I was pretty ecstatic to see the lineup really put together. I love the top half. Those first six you see, it's just a juggernaut to go through. But yeah, I'll kind of leave it at that. I mean, I'm pretty excited and bullish about this team going forward.
Yeah, vibes are pretty much at an all-time high right now, which is awesome, right? You always want good chemistry, but they got two of the best bats. They ended up getting Caleb Ferguson, who is severely underrated in that trade deadline. I still think they were one, and I don't mean to be too harsh here, because this is one of the first trade deadlines that I'm really big fan of it, and I'm not going to try and take too much away from it. So B+, A- was kind of the grade that I was looking at, and you could twist my arm for either one, but no, they did exactly what they should have done. And in all of that, they didn't lose any top 100 guys, which it's insane. You go through a trade deadline and you get those types of names. And yeah, you didn't lose anybody that you really wanted to keep down the road. And yeah, sorry, I just saw something real cool on the screen there. I won't give it away.
That's a Geno bomb.
That's a Geno bomb.
Great timing.
So yeah, speaking of trade deadline, Geno goes yaya, and it's back at home, which is awesome. So yeah, I love the trade deadline. Griffin Jax would have been my next one, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, so I guess if you guys want to go through your grades, and then I'll do my grade, and then we can break down each individual trade. So if you want to start, Chad, what was your grade for this Mariners trade deadline?
No, yeah, Gavin nailed it there, B+, and that's really nothing negative. I felt like we could have maybe done more. I felt like we could have added, upgrade the floor a little bit in our on our bench. We could have gone and gotten a right-handed relief pitcher, power arm maybe. I know Jerry was still looking at Duran towards the end of the deadline, but going out to improve our corner infield with Geno and Josh Naylor, I think they nailed it there. I don't think they could have done any better at the first base or third base position with what was available on the market. So, I mean, and really, yeah, and what Gavin said too, is just like, what did we give up? We gave up Jeter Martinez, who's not going to help our team over the next year and a half, 2 years. We gave up Tyler Locklear, who clearly showed that they weren't willing to give him an opportunity at first base. So I didn't really see him as a fit for this team. Wasn't really showing the ability to hit left-handed pitching really up until most recently. And then I think really Brandon Garcia getting a lot of hype around, but I think the biggest name we gave up was actually Hunter Cranton, a guy that I know, Connor, you've been really high on and you have a relationship with. But yeah, I mean, he didn't really pitch much to start the year, getting nailed in the head in spring training. But yeah, I felt like, what did we give up? We gave up guys that really, outside of maybe Cranton, weren't really going to help this team this year. And we got to look at what the main goal is when you play your season. It's to win ball games and get to a World Series. So B+.
Yeah. And yeah, I'll kind of piggyback off of what I was saying, and also with Chad. Yeah, B plus is kind of where I'll give it. And again, if you want to twist my arm for an A minus, all right. Yeah, still a couple pieces away that could have been addressed, right? We still have Dylan Moore right now. We still have Donovan Solano, who I don't think are helping your club out in the full capacity right now. And then also maybe one more guy just to at least help the floor. I know they were talking about Duran. I don't think it needed to be a Duran. I don't think it needed to be somebody who's been a dominant closer over the past couple of years. If you were going closer route, if they weren't in it, Emilio Pagan was the one that we talked about before the trade deadline. But just a guy that helps bring your floor up. Griffin Jacks is probably the most elite of those in that conversation. And fun fact, I did actually get to work with him down at Push down here in Tempe. I got to meet the guy, incredible human being, and also just like seeing the growth of his career. Yeah, I definitely like that. I'm a little biased there, but I definitely wanted him in Seattle. But unfortunately, we just didn't have Taj Bradley to give back in that scenario. So yeah, we did a great job, and that's really kind of where I will not be mad at Jerry for this one at all.
Yeah, I'm gonna go slightly higher. I'm gonna say an A minus. I mean, there's no wrong way to go about it. If they were to get one of those elite type relievers or an additional solid arm to add to it, then you can get into the A to A plus territory. The fact that they went out and got the best bat available at the deadline, then looking at arguably the number 3 bat available in Josh Naylor, I guess throwing up the stat here first, Eugenio Suarez, looking at the top OPS leaders on base plus slugging from July 1st, 2024 through July 31st of 2025. Eugenio is 6th on that list with a 930 OPS. The only guys above him are Byron Buxton, Vladdy, Ketel Marte, Shohei Ohtani, and Aaron Judge. And just below him are Bobby Witt Jr., Kyle Schwarber, and Juan Soto. So a true impact guy. And another random stat here, in case you didn't already notice, his batting stance is quite a bit different from when he was with the Mariners. He was very closed off, pretty much straight up. He was at a 4-degree open when he was with the Mariners. Now he's 27 degrees open. So he looks very relaxed. He's changed his stance a ton. Clearly it has turned into some serious results at the plate. And when you look at what they gave up for these guys, that's what I want to get into next. I feel like there must have been better offers out there for these guys that they got, because when you look at what the Mariners gave up, relatively speaking, I feel like they didn't even make a dent in the Mariners farm system. That might just speak to how deep the Mariners system is as a whole. Kind of breaking these trades down, and let's go like chronological. So Josh Naylor is traded for, first off, Brandon Garcia, lefty, and Ashton Izzy are both traded. Ashton Izzy is a 21-year-old that I believe is at high A Everett, or was. Brandon Garcia just made his debut. He was a starting pitcher, like 11th round draft pick out of Texas A&M. They transitioned him to the bullpen this last year. He debuts now. And I don't know if you guys saw the interview with Justin Hollander on Seattle Sports 710, but basically they wanted to give up guys that have proximity instead of upside. So guys that are closer to the big leagues currently, instead of like high upside prospects that might be younger. What do you guys think of this initial trade? Josh Naylor, Brandon Garcia and Ashton Izzy, it was assumed that Brandon Garcia might be the guy, the lefty in the bullpen this year to help us during the playoffs, but then they just up and trade him and they end up bringing in Caleb Ferguson.
I thought it was a fantastic trade. Yeah. I think that was the easiest one to look at on paper and what we gave up. I'm not really attached to Brandon Garcia. I think he's a great pitcher, and I think he's somebody that could eventually end up back in a rotation for Arizona. For the Seattle Mariners, I don't think so. Just look at what we have currently and then coming up in the future. I just don't think there's a place for him in our rotation. So the value isn't as high as maybe another team evaluates him at. So that's probably why we're able to get him at probably on paper lesser than what you think. Arizona, I thought they had a really good offseason though overall. So I think it's really a win-win for both teams.
Yeah. And I'll opposite that. I was actually a big Brandon Garcia guy. I loved what he brought to the table. I thought his trade value was probably higher than maybe most would give him. Especially seeing that he was, sitting 97 to 99 once he got up to AAA, and I was able to see more of those numbers come in. With adding that sinker in and everything. He was already kind of one of my favorites and also just the lack of left-handed depth that you have in the minor league, the whole system. Just there's not a lot of guys that are 25 and under that are left-handed that have kind of that ceiling. So he was definitely higher on my list. However, I thought that was a great trade. I think it's a win-win for both teams. I think Brandon Garcia is going to go there and hopefully give them exactly what he wants. And I wish him the absolute best. Because I think he's a phenomenal guy. He's jumped on most people's podcasts. He's just a good dude that's easy to root for. And so I just hope he goes there and he does a fantastic job. And he's got a lot of upside. So yeah, I think it was a great trade. I think both teams won in that one.
And then pulling up Josh Naylor's stats from this season so far. This is his Baseball Savant page. He has he's in the 82nd percentile in expected batting average. His expected is a 282. His current batting average is 284. He's got a high squared up rate and a good strikeout rate, meaning that he's not striking out very much. And it's interesting because you look at this year compared to last year. Last year he sold out for power, and he ended up hitting 31 home runs last season. He had a 243 batting average. This year he's kind of returned to his career norm of being more a contact focused guy. He has 12 home runs on the year with a 284 batting average. So they got a lefty at first base, high contact ability. He's going to work the counts, and he just adds that depth to the lineup. They slotted him in 5th at the start, and now he's down there he's batting like 4 or 5 currently, which Gino added too. But quality bat that is on an expiring contract. And then getting into Caleb. Yeah, did you want to say something, Chad?
No, yeah. I mean, I feel like with Josh Naylor and even Gino, both these guys are on 1 years. Do you see Josh as a guy that resigns?
That was definitely going to be one of my questions.
Definitely a candidate. Yeah.
Yeah. I know and this is kind of like a fun little thing, or maybe something we missed on. And I know like Stephen Kwan's name came up, but I was always just thinking like, is there a way we can keep Josh here by going to get Bo Naylor? And if there's a way for us to upgrade backup catcher, maybe in that manner, and we get Stephen Kwan and send him, Harry Ford in that deal. I thought maybe that could be something we do to kind of persuade Josh to stick around. But I'm hoping he's a guy that we can re-sign. Did you think in his comments about the batter's eye, was he being facetious or being realistic when he made a comment?
What did he say? I didn't see that.
He said he didn't have a problem with the batter's eye at all, which is like the total opposite that we've heard from every. He's like, oh yeah, I love the
opposite of Teoscar Hernandez.
Yeah. Maybe we should quote a Teo right after.
Just poking the bear.
Yeah.
So he's 28 years old. Yeah, I mean, obviously. And so Hollander, in his interview with Seattle Sports 710, he was asked that question also. He's like, how much of these trades that you make is with the thought that you could potentially extend some of these guys? And he said, obviously with Gino, we know who he is, but with Josh Naylor, it's like a get to know you time frame to where over these next couple months, they can get to know them. He can get to know them and see if it makes sense. Obviously, that's a profile of a guy that you'd like to have in Seattle for a longer period of time. And he's a passionate guy. He plays with his heart on his sleeve. I think I mentioned it to this to you guys before. From an outsider's perspective, I didn't really like Josh Naylor because he was so passionate while he was playing. He just looked like he was so intense the entire time. I didn't really care for it, but when he's playing on your team, it's a little different.
It's a little Richard Sherman action. Yeah.
I've heard the nickname thrown around. I've heard the nickname thrown around, I think on 710. I was listening on the radio. I think it was last week. I'm not sure who it was, but somebody quoted calling him the big grumper. So he's got a little bit of an attitude, but I'm okay with it. I like it.
Slap a trademark on it.
That's awesome.
Print the t-shirts.
Print the t-shirts.
So I guess with a guy like Josh, how long would you look to extend him for? Have you guys thought that far into that?
I was looking at, are we looking at like a 3 to 5 year and kind of somewhere in that window for somewhere in between 15 and 20 mil?
Because also in their system, there isn't really any other first basemen that are working up to it. Like Tyler Locklear was the other guy that was right there.
Yeah, you don't really have somebody at first base that you're going to be blocking in the future. At least not what I see currently. With his age, 28, 29 next season, I think you're looking at least a 4-year, maybe a 6-year deal in the 16 to 19 million range. I think if you can give him more years, he might take a little bit less, but he'll be approaching that 20 million mark, I think. Now seeing like his home run production is going down after a 30 home run season. That's a little alarming in many ways, but I think I mean maybe I'm a little more old school on this, but I think batting average plays a lot for me. On base skills plays a lot for me, and if you can have that stacked up through your lineup, you really don't need to be hitting home runs. And we do have a lot of power across our lineup, so I feel good.
Yeah, I
about it.
was for reference, I was looking at Jamer Candelario because he put up kind of similar numbers. And it was around the same age. He was, I think, 29, and he signed a 3 for 15 a year. I think that was roughly where it was. And so I guess just for like from a hitter's profile, that's kind of where I was leaning towards was Jamer Candelario. But yeah, I think with his upside and his batting average over Jamer Candelario's, there could be more involved in that. Could be closer to that 20, and it could be closer to 5-6 years. But yeah, that was just like a rough starting point. We're not even into September yet, and just see how he can hit in Seattle, as we saw from Justin Turner last year. I think most of us fans wanted him back, even if it was just a 1-year deal and he could be, kind of the captain of the squad. But he did really well, and so I'm hoping we get that from Naylor.
Kind of thinking back a few years when we traded for Luis Castillo, wasn't he a rental through the end of that year, or did he have one more year after that? Because didn't they extend him before the playoffs that year?
Let me take a look.
Yeah, I think he had a year and a half left on his contract, so he was
Okay.
going into his contract year, and I think they
Gotcha.
extended him in the off season, going into that final season.
Gotcha. Okay.
Fact check me though, people out there.
Let me look. But working off of that, moving into the Eugenio Suarez trade, that's also another trade that it looks like you would think that maybe there was going to be a better offer out there compared to what they got, but kind of similar to what you described with the Josh Naylor trade and Brandon Garcia value. The Diamondbacks just had different needs than what the Mariners have needs wise. So they valued these guys higher than we might value them at because they were blocked. Tyler Locklear at the time was the Mariners' number 9 overall prospect, first baseman who had a cup of coffee last year. He didn't see the success. He's been in AAA the rest of this year. He's been putting up numbers, especially the past month in AAA Tacoma. Hunter Cranton is a reliever who was a 4th-round draft pick, I believe, last year out of Kansas. He was their closer. He's got some nasty stuff. He's a guy that I really was excited for. He's got a fastball that's 98 to 100 with some serious ride and a great slider. And then also Juan Burgos, who is their number 17 overall prospect. We saw him debut this year in Seattle. What are your guys' thoughts on the Geno trade?
Real quick, Chad, you were correct on Luis Castillo. 23 through 27 was his contract. Okay. So yes, it was extended after that season ended.
Yeah, I mean, like just looking at the trade, I'll start with Juan Burgos. He was a guy that I'm all about trading a guy that has a career season the year you trade him. Trade while his value's high. He came up for what? He pitched 1 inning with us. He looked pretty decent, but small sample size. Could have fit maybe in the back of our bullpen, but I think we're able to do that by getting Caleb Ferguson ourselves. So I was fine with that move. And then losing Tyler Locklear, I've always liked him as a player. I think he came out of VCU, broke a couple of records there. He's a player that hasn't really failed too much in the minor leagues. Seeing him stall out in AAA a little bit was a bummer. And obviously the Mariners didn't really see him as a long-term piece at first base. So in Jerry, I trust when it comes to that, and especially his track record recently with player development and getting guys to the bigs and development. I think we're okay losing him in that deal, especially if it's somebody Geno, and I think maybe it was you, Connor, that mentioned this last week, or maybe it was you, Gavin, but I remember this. It kind of reminds me of the Nelson Cruz, just acquisition and getting a guy that, yes, he's on his final year, but maybe we can extend for 2 years, and a great bat that can play third base. When you got a guy that, pushes him out of the field, he's somebody that can easily settle into first base if Josh Naylor doesn't re-sign with us, or he plays a lot of DH for us. So I thought it was a good trade overall, getting the pieces we did. And you look at him on just from his good vibes only coming into the clubhouse, how they waited for him to get on the plane with his family and everybody cheering him on. I think that just the feels that he brings to the team and overall, I think might be even outweigh his performance on the field. So I was pretty jacked about that, and what we gave up, I'm good with it. We didn't have to give up that top 10 piece. You can argue that Tyler Locklear, his rankings are in the top 10, but in my opinion, if I ranked that our prospects, I wouldn't have them in there. So I'm good with it.
Yeah, I also agree with it. Fun fact, VCU, their home field is the Richmond Flying Squirrels home field. So they play at the AA park there and everything. But yeah, and Jerry loves his Virginia guys. He's got him from VCU, the small school Virginia guys. He likes VCU, and then he likes Ben Williamson out of William and Mary. And I think we've had a couple of George Mason guys in the past too. But yeah, Tyler Locklear, here's my hot take. If we would have had him for the whole year instead of Donovan Solano, I think we would have been in a better spot, especially since you would have had Rowdy Tellez and Tyler Locklear that both would have probably been that 10 plus home run category, or at least contributing on one aspect of it. But here we are. He's no longer a Mariner. He's now going to there, and man, I see a lot of Christian Walker in him. I think he's going to go there and do a phenomenal job. It's another good trade where they're going to get a very good piece and be competitive, hopefully next year, which I think is their plan. They were not looking to rebuild. They were looking to just kind of reshuffle. What did Jerry say in 2019? Retool. Yeah. Retool, not quite pull the boat, but Tyler Locklear, another guy easy to root for, and another one that I was a little disappointed he wasn't getting his shot at our level. But the amount of guys that we've seen that are just, I guess, quote unquote 4A players that just bat 360 with 20 plus bombs every year in AAA, and they come up to the Mariners and they're 220 or less, and they're struggling to hit bombs and they're striking out left and right. So again, I hope he does very well. And I think overall, you didn't lose anybody that you needed to lose, especially with who they wanted to start this whole trade with. Gino, they wanted 2 top 100 guys, and everyone balked. Everyone's like, nope, we're not doing that. And then also just the trade history with the Diamondbacks, and I think Jerry's just relationship with that front office was able to kind of solidify the deal at the very end.
Yeah, the Yankees went after Ryan McMahon, and then it's like, all right, who's still in this? And I guess the value went down a little bit, but yeah. And Jared Dipoto, during his media availability, he was saying that if there was one trade that he could go back and redo, it was the Gino trade to Arizona, because at the time, as we know, ownership was trying to cut payroll. And little did they know that with the following trade of Jared Kelenic to the Braves, along with Marco going away, that cleared up the payroll that was needed. So if that would have happened beforehand, they wouldn't have had to trade Gino to Arizona in the first place. So now trading back for him is definitely a big piece. And I mean, you just know what you're getting. It's the amount of the good vibes that he brings to the clubhouse, I think, is the cherry on top, in that, like, the factor that isn't on paper, that no matter what his production is on the field, the value that he brings to the clubhouse and how it can boost everyone else's play and morale throughout the playoffs, I think is going to be huge. I'd be curious though. I mean,
going to Arizona, who made that swing correction for him? The openness and relaxed kind of state in his stance. I mean, like, were the Mariners going to fix that? I don't know. So bless the broken road that brought Gino back.
I guess one other note on that, Tyler Locklear also changed his swing. He was like a high hands up here before, and now he's down here. Do you guys have any insight on that? And then also, it's like, are we going to see Tyler Locklear now with a super open stance next week?
Yeah, I'm also curious on that one too. Like, once he goes there, what's their shuffle with him? Because I mean, Christian Walker's another big bat for them, and he had kind of that slightly open stance. So I'd be curious. Maybe right now, at least to finish out the rest of the season. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let him go. Even though I think he's 2 for 17 or 3 for 16 or something like that. Not the greatest start, but also he did it at a home run. He's catching momentum, and he could finish this year just absolutely electric. So I would also be curious on if there are any changes. What are they, and what do they look like? Are they going to be Gino-esque?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're seeing that the Diamondbacks can actually develop hitters. I mean, didn't we a couple years ago bring in the hitting coach from Arizona when we traded for Mitch Haniger too, who started getting more leverage on his swing? So it's funny how we seem to dip into the same well over and over again, trying to find that
Ketel
secret sauce.
Marte.
So, all right, let's talk
Okay.
positive here.
Too soon. Too soon.
Too soon.
And then working into the final trade that the Mariners made this deadline was left-handed pitcher, relief pitcher from the Pirates, and Caleb Ferguson. I didn't know who this guy was before the deadline. I don't know if you guys knew who he was, but check out this Baseball Savant page. I mean, they've traded a 19-year-old relief pitcher. I mean, I know Chad is an absolute Jeter Martinez fan, and I want to hear his take on this, but I mean, expected ERA, expected batting average, average exit velocity. He limits hard contact, barrel rate, hard hit rate, ground ball percentage, and this is from a lefty. The Mariners have really had Gabe Spire the past couple of years. There was Taylor Saucedo also, but to add in Caleb Ferguson, a guy that's elite at allowing hard contact, I mean, it's an under the table ad that I had no clue was even there.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think I Googled Caleb Ferguson as soon as I saw the trade come through.
Yeah.
And that's no slight on him. I mean, obviously his numbers look really good this year. He's a good fit. And we had been talking about we need a left-handed relief pitcher in that bullpen, somebody to go behind Spire every other day type situation or everyday type situation. So I thought it was a good trade. Jeter Martinez, you said it. I am high on him, but he's not a top 10 prospect for us. He's not going to help us in the next 2 seasons. And we're going for a World Series. Get me to a damn World Series. So take him.
Yeah,
What about you,
I'll
Kev?
piggyback. Yeah, I'll piggyback off of that as well. Caleb Ferguson. It's nice that we had that. We have this little Mariners group chat with a bunch of us, creators and all that stuff. And Caleb Ferguson's name was thrown around. He wasn't my first go-to as we got to trade for this guy. We did need a lefty. The lefty was definitely at the top of my list as far as arms go. And Danny Colombe was probably my number one. He's the guy I wanted, and they were just having a fire sale. Probably could have got him for a pretty good price. I can't remember what he actually went for. Was it the Blue Jays? I think where he got shipped off to, or
Texas, I thought.
Texas.
I think we
Yep,
just
that's
faced
right.
him. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I can't remember exactly what the trade package was. But getting Caleb Ferguson straight across for Jeter Martinez and everything, yeah, Jeter Martinez still has a pretty high ceiling, but we're not going to need him for the next, we're not going to even see him for the next couple of years, and there's no guarantee that he's going to turn some massive corner and be just this absolute stud. And it's nice that we kind of backfilled a little bit of our prospects with getting Cade Anderson, and then Jerry went on with 5 or 6 more guys in the top 10 rounds that are arms. So no, great trade. And Caleb Ferguson, I think 29 years old. You can see him in the bullpen for the next couple of years.
See if we can extend him. That's an arm
Yeah.
that we need in the bullpen for years to come.
100%.
We don't really have anything in the minors coming up as far as
No.
left-handed relief pitching. So that would
Right.
make sense.
We just shipped it out in Brandon Garcia.
Yeah,
But,
we had one.
and
Yeah.
if you guys are watching this and you haven't watched the Justin Hollander interview on Seattle Sports 710, I highly recommend go check that out. Just inside the mind of a general manager during the trade deadline. It's pretty interesting because Jerry Dipoto and Justin Hollander, they have their own relationships with various GMs and front office personnel of different teams. So they essentially split the league in half. And then both of them are calling their teams that they're assigned to, that they have the better relationships with. And so Justin Hollander has the relationship with the Diamondbacks, the Pirates, and the Twins, among other teams.
Mhm.
And then Jerry Dipoto had the Orioles, the Braves, Red Sox, and Yankees. So it just so happens that this year it was all Justin Hollander that was getting the job done with the Diamondbacks, the Pirates, and then they were very active with the Twins. And the reports were that the Mariners were right at the finish line for Joan Duran. And Jerry Dipoto stated that they thought that they were in the end zone. And then the Phillies came out of nowhere and basically, Mick Abel, as well as another prospect. I think they're number 4 and 5 or 5 and 6 prospects to get Duran. So a quick stat, and then I want to get your guys' thoughts on maybe who the Mariners should have gone after that they didn't acquire that you would have liked to. But I was on Baseball Savant earlier today, And a stat is that 52% of innings pitched in the playoffs in 2024 were out of the bullpen. 33 relievers were traded this year at the deadline, 34 last year, 29 in 2023, 28 the year before, and then 30 the year before that. So just kind of speaking to the importance of how deep your bullpen needs to be, because a majority of the innings potentially in the playoffs are pitched by the bullpen. And then we see Trent Thornton go out the other day and tear his Achilles. And now it's like, okay, who else do we have in the minor leagues? We have potentially Gregory Santos coming back at some point. Bryce Miller is going to fill out in the rotation. Do we move Hancock or Evans to the bullpen at some point? So working off of that, who do you guys think that the Mariners should have gotten?
I'll let you go, Gav.
Yeah, mentioned his name already, but Griffin Jax is probably at the top of my list. Unfortunately, we just didn't have Taj Bradley or a Taj Bradley esque type player. I think the closest to that would have been maybe Logan Evans or Emerson Hancock, somebody who has major league experience with still high upside and not super old. So that would have been probably the closest, and you would have had to package that up with maybe another top 10 guy. And it's worth it for me to get a guy that's controllable and everything. So Griffin Jax might have been the one that got away. The other one that I broke it down a couple of days ago, I think Camilo Duvall, for what he went for, he probably would have been the one that got away. And he would have been completely okay, I think, coming into this back half of the bullpen, competing with Brash for 8th innings every other day or every other third day or whatever, and being probably okay with not being the closer, even though he had worked into that role with the Giants. That was a big thing, is if you're going to get a closer in, you just don't know how the egos I don't know what that clubhouse looks like. I don't know, bringing in a guy halfway through the year, completely changing his role, what that does for a guy's ego, and does it take it away, which is why I wanted to target somebody who wasn't, I wanted to target somebody else's Matt Brash, which is why Griffin Jax is probably my favorite. But besides that, Camilo Duvall would have been my favorite one.
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it, Gavin, without being a dead horse. I mean, obviously, a right-handed relief pitcher in the back end of that bullpen, just to really make it really easy for us going, 6th through 9th inning. But I think you're seeing like a lot of relief pitchers go heavy this year and last year, and it just shows you kind of where baseball's at today. It's starting pitchers are only meant to go 5 to 6.5 innings, right? They're not really going longer than that, so you're depending more on that bullpen. So the price tags on bullpen arms will continue to go up. As far as like what we missed out on, and I think I mentioned this on the last episode, is just upgrading the floor. It's like a bare minimum upgrading the floor, which we did more than that. I think that also, like talking about getting a bench piece, but I think like Jerry and Justin, they talked about in their interviews recently, just about, and also you've seen in this last series, guys like Ryan Bliss being healthy, Victor Robles being healthy, Bryce Miller throwing five innings the other day. It's 52 pitches. I think it shows maybe they didn't have to do that because they already have those reinforcements coming. And like Jerry DePota quotes it year after year, right after the deadline, we already have our acquisitions coming. It's our players that we already have coming back from injury. So I think that's a part of it. I don't know if we really missed on too many. I think the biggest one, and I just keep thinking about how do we keep Josh Naylor around, and you see a guy like Stephen Kwan being floated out there, and I look at the top of our lineup. I love a Rosarina. Is he a leadoff hitter for me? No, probably not. But that lineup, 1 through 6 is so deadly. And if you could put a Stephen Kwan high OBP average guy at the top of that lineup, I know we have a lot of left-handed hitters, but a Rosarina is only around one more year. You'd have Kwan to like 2027 at least. And the ability to bring in a backup catcher, and you're probably looking at giving up a Harry Ford plus beyond that, but a guy that you could look at being your left fielder for the next 4 or 5 years. I think that's a big thing that we potentially missed on, but it's not too late. I mean, we can look at going into the offseason. That's a name I'd be highlighting if I was Jerry right away on how do we get Stephen Kwan in here, and how do we get Bo Naylor with it, give reason Josh to stick around. That's just my thought.
I had 2 more, and I forgot to mention them. Speaking of starting pitching, Charlie Morton was one that I was targeting. you don't need to go after the top guy. It's not the year where we needed to go after, Luis Castillo, but Charlie Morton, with his trade package, I think that was feasible. And then also Adrian Hauser was also very high on my list with all of his success and also against the Mariners when we played them. And I think it was his first game back for the year. And then obviously seeing him get blown up like in his first start with the Rays, I'm like, well, maybe not. But still, for what they went for and what they would have helped you out down the long road or down the run, I think those are two guys that I would have liked to see be a Mariner, or one of them.
One other name that I was definitely looking at on top of course, Yohan Duran. Let's just take a look at his baseball savant. Look at that page. I mean, if the Mariners would have gotten Johan Duran, that would have been absolutely insane. And then it's like you can go 1A, 1B, Munoz, Duran. It's like it doesn't matter who's going. It's like they could both be out there every day. We've worked Munoz into the ground the past few years with how many times we're asking him to go 4-out saves, do all of these different things, even tie ball game. But then also Ryan Helsley, who ended up going to the Mets, I think would have been a great ad. He's top of the line, top type of stuff, 100-mile-an-hour fastball. And then you look at some of these other arms that were dealt, like Bednar, Camilo Doval, Jake Bird to the Yankees. I saw those moves happening. It was like, okay, this bullpen is stacked. And then they go down to Miami and they all get shelled in their first outing. So it's like you just never know what you're going to get out of these guys.
Pitchers.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned the Mets. I thought the Mets had such a great deadline. I mean, you
Tyler
look at like the
Rogers.
biggest. Yeah, it was Helsley, Rogers, Gregory Soto, and then they got Cedric Mullins for the outfield. I'm not sure how great he'll be with them, but I mean, they got 3 closer setup guys that you look at their weakness, it was their bullpen, and I mean, I think they could press for a World Series title. I mean, pretty good team overall, great lineup. So I thought Mets were my winners.
Off topic, really quick. Josh Naylor just stole his 7th and 8th bag. Just heads up. I did. Who saw that coming?
Okay, so if you look down there at the bottom of the screen there, he's in the 3rd percentile of sprint speed. Okay, and he's set a record. I think it was the first Mariners player to steal 4 bags in their first 4 games, or was it 5 bags in 5 games?
It's ridiculous. I love it.
Something
But
like that.
yes, 7 and 8 just happened. And I don't know if they're going to give it a defensive indifference because the catcher didn't throw it. But he straight up stole 3rd after he just stole 2nd. So I love it. And that's Crazy Dan has been on fire with stolen bases this year. He's sending everybody.
I'll take that. Deceptively fast.
Sorry, I had to throw that into the mix just because we have to see it.
No, I like it.
And also another stat, the 2 players with 20-plus home runs and 20-plus stolen bases on the same team through 113 team games. 2025, Seattle, Randy Arozarena and Julio Rodriguez. Second up is 1998, Toronto, Sean Green and Jose Canseco. And then a couple other pairs in 1996 and 1987 and 88. So that pair of Randy Arozarena and Julio Rodriguez, they've got the green light. Apparently Josh Naylor has the green light. Cal Raleigh has over 10 stolen bases. I was on with Gary Hill Jr. early in the season before the deadline. It's like, are we about to see the first 60-20 catcher in history? I mean, that's ridiculous.
He is the first, if he's at 10 already, he's the first 40-10 catcher ever. So there's at least that, if you can get to both of those milestones, which is insane.
And
you gotta love seeing a catcher that can steal a base, though. You gotta love that. Former catcher myself. I mean, nothing gets me more excited.
Okay, you guys have played. Do you think a bag that's that much bigger makes that big of a difference with stolen bases? Yeah,
it does. Yeah,
because so many tags are like by that close.
It goes beyond my experience because I pitched, but it's talking to guys that are in the minor leagues. It's talking to guys that have played at that level and everything. Because that was one of my things. Is as soon as they brought the pizza boxes out in like 2021, I was like, hey guys, like how much we're seeing more stolen bases, but is that actually playing a huge factor? He goes, yeah. I mean, think about it. When you're diving back to the bag, you have that extra inch when you're diving, towards it. So you can actually get a higher lead, a more extended lead. And yeah, baseball's a game of inches, and that's where it plays.
Yeah, I mean, the bag's not close. They're not closer to each other now. I think it's just wider, so players can just take
Technically,
a
they're
better
like
angle at it.
3 inches
Better.
closer or
Really? Are
something
Yeah,
like
they?
that.
yeah.
Okay,
Like that
Well,
much
just
closer,
because they're
but still,
bigger,
it's
they're technically closer.
yeah.
gotcha. Hmm.
But yeah, guys are getting more comfortable with a larger lead, is kind of what it broke down to.
And because also there's the limit to pickoffs, so that's also another factor added on top of the large bases that might play into it.
Has Major League
Yeah,
Baseball? I'd be curious. Obviously, we can't pull up that stat today, but I wonder if there's been a decrease in injuries because of it. Has there been a give or take there, or is it just a
Yeah, because
give?
because of the bigger
that
bag.
was the reason why they did it. So I'm
Yeah,
curious on that too.
something to research.
Yeah.
Okay,
Write that down.
how about what do you guys think about the double bag at first base?
It's going to take some getting used to. It's
Do you think
at
they're going to
least
implement that, or that they
yeah,
should?
seeing at the college game, you've seen so many mishaps that are happening. And granted, you can get this ironed out in a couple years. And I pride myself in playing softball as well. So it's always nice to see that and just being able to have that to limit injuries. But I guess it just wasn't a barreling issue that needed to be addressed, at least at the college level. And we've seen so many guys like not on the base because they're on the back part of the base. I hope they don't implement that one. Um, it'd be interesting to see how that one develops at the college level over the next 5 years, and then probably seeing it in the minor leagues, then probably seeing it in the Atlantic League or any other developmental leagues. MLB owns, and then make it the spring training and so on and so forth. So I'm not for it, but also we'll see how it develops.
Yeah, because like when I was playing in high school, I had someone that was playing first base. The runner ran into him. He lacerated his liver, like in the middle of the field. He started spitting up blood. So like if they actually are like really pursuing reducing injuries, I think that the double bag at first base makes a ton of sense. There's been so many collisions at first base, but yeah, we'll see what route they go. I guess kind of working. Do you guys want to do winners and losers of the deadline? You can pick a winner or a loser.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
For me, I thought the biggest winners were Arizona Diamondbacks. And without even going into the players they got, I think you just look at what they gave up, and it was just a bunch of one-year players, and they're able to retool their farm system. I thought they had a really smart deadline where they didn't really hold on to guys they didn't need to hold on to. So kudos to the Diamondbacks. They're in a tough division. They're not going to catch anybody there. So you got to retool for next year. So them. Biggest losers, I'm going to give a hot take and say San Diego Padres. Also in a tough division, thinking they can catch the Dodgers, which they're struggling right now. They are, but they're still the Dodgers. Do I think they have what it takes from a bullpen now? Potentially. Do I think they have what it takes as a starting rotation? No, I don't think they have a great rotation. I think they went all in. AJ Preller continues to show that prospects don't matter, and we'll see what the Padres look like 3 years from now when Moncada's 38 years old on a 4 more years left on his deal, and they have no money to spend because ownership won't have it. That's my hot take.
I love it because I went the inverse of that. I actually thought the Padres did a fine job because they obviously are looking right down the road and seeing what they have to compete. They have to see what they're competing against, and I don't think prospect. Yeah, they don't give two single thoughts to their prospects for the future. But I think they're looking down the road and saying we have to compete with these guys for the division every year, and they have Shohei Ohtani. And they're getting this guy and that guy and so on and so forth. So I think that's their plan, and it may backfire. Looking at their prospects that are still left, they still have Ethan Salas, who I really like, Cash Mayfield, who I really like. And then I got to give a shout out to one of my former players, Isaiah Lowe. He is now inside their top 10. He's a former player of mine from Combine Academy. And I think they still have enough guys to work with. And I can't remember who they drafted. So I'll have to take that into consideration as well. But I like that they got Mason Miller. That was huge for them because I didn't think the A's were going to part ways with him. That was such a huge grab for them. So I'll give them credit for that.
4 years of control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also a huge shout out to them, or a huge shout out to him. He comes from Gardner Webb, which, my first college job was from Jim Chester, and he's the head coach there at Gardner Webb, and that was his claim to fame, getting that first rounder from him. So it's really cool to see them go out and grab Mason Miller and really try and compete for a division, not just this year, but moving forward. So that's one of my winners. I think my ultimate winner is probably the Mariners, as unbiased as I can be. I think they did an absolutely phenomenal job. And then the Diamondbacks are up there as well. I think the losers, are we doing losers right now? Or are we going to get through everybody's
Do
winners?
both. I did both.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Perfect.
can do both.
The Braves were also one of mine. And then the other one, this might be a hot take, but the Twins. I thought the Twins shipped off a lot, and they didn't get a ton of. They got a couple prospects back. They got the young man out of Portland, went to Jesuit High School, Mick Abel. They got Mick Abel, who's going to be good for them, and they got a couple. Eduardo Tait, I think is how you pronounce his name. But other than that, I didn't see them grab a whole lot, other than like Taj Bradley, who's already there. The Twins. That's a granted, they already had kind of a good farm system with Culpepper kind of breaking out, and a couple of the Luke Keyshaw just made his appearance back today, and he hit a bomb. They got a good ground to move forward with, but I just don't think they got the value back in the trade market that they should have gotten. That's I guess that's my hot take. But Twins, yeah.
So I'm going to look up the AJ Preller all-time trade list, because the amount of talent that he has traded away is absolutely ridiculous. And us Mariners fans know firsthand, like, thank you, AJ Preller, for being who you are. And thank you for Jerry DePoto's relationship with him, because we were able to get Munoz. We got Ty France for a period of time, all these different guys. I just have to, before I go into my teams, I have to pull up the Padres trade deadline. This is what they did. They brought in right-handed pitcher Mason Miller, obviously one of the top closers in all of baseball, which is a great move, but it's very costly. They brought in the second best bat available at the deadline, which is infielder, outfielder, lefty from the Orioles, Ryan O'Hearn. They also got the outfielder from the Orioles, Ramon Laureano, who has been one of the hottest hitters in baseball over the recent span, or at least the hottest hitters available. They also got left-handed starting pitcher JP Sears. They got catcher Freddie Fermin. They also got left-handed starting pitcher Nestor Cortez. Then they got infielder Will Wagner and shortstop Jorge Quintana, who's a Brewers prospect. And this is who they shipped out. That entire list of guys. They're number 1, 3, 6, 8, 9, 13, 16, 17 overall prospects, on top of the 4 additional prospects on top of that. And then 2, it looks like, major leaguers. So, I mean, AJ Preller does not care about prospects. He's trying to bring in talent. And you look at the talent that they brought in, they did acquire the most this year MLB talent out of any team in baseball. But we'll just have to see if it ends up working, because I guess working into my team that I thought was one of the winners is the A's, for what they were able to get back. I mean, they were able to sell high on Mason Miller, who he's one of the top closers in baseball, but it's also a very volatile position. He could end up having Tommy John at any point. Relievers, they're good one year, bad another year. Like, there's so many variables. And the fact that they were able to get the number 3 overall prospect in baseball from that deal, the A's got the current rankings of their current prospects for the A's. They acquired their number 1, 5, 9, and 17 prospects from the Padres for sending away Mason Miller and JP Sears. So, I mean, this A's team that is in a rebuild, clearly, they are right on the cusp of having a contending team. And the fact that they were able to get what they did and trade those guys, I think, is a big win for them. And then, Gavin, I would also say that a winner is the Mariners, with what they were able to bring in with what they sent out also. So, crazy deadline.
Yeah, I agree with
you.
I
did want to point out
A's. Yeah, go ahead, Gav.
No, you got it.
Yeah, I mean, for the A's, I think it makes sense. Why would you hold on to a closer if you have no need for a closer? You got to get to the actual 9th inning to use them.
Keep winning in games. Yeah.
The one with the Padres that didn't make a ton of sense was getting JP Sears and Nestor Cortez. You get kind of 2 of the same player. But I think the A's, I think they got a One's a little bit younger. I guess that was the
Both
only one that was
big
like, all
guys.
right, like, and granted, they just optioned JP Sears back down, so I guess maybe that's their future, or maybe he gets
And then they're
shipped
going
off
to
at the end of the
DFA
year.
Cortez next week, I'm sure.
Yeah. So that was the one I was like, all right, depth. I don't know.
Yeah, and
But
then they're floating out Dylan Cease too there for a trade. I'm like, I guess the plan is get to the fifth inning and then let our bullpen rock it. Like, I think
There was also talk of them trading Robert Suarez,
that's right. I did
but
see that. Yeah.
but then they ended up trading for Mason Miller, not trading Robert Suarez or Cease. So, I mean, the Padres are stacked. If there's anyone to take down the Dodgers in the NL West, it's obviously the Padres. So I guess
sure.
they have to do what they can to try to compete with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
That's I guess the best way I was looking at it is if they got a team, they got to compete now. And yeah, Leo Dallas DeVry is fantastic, and I think he's going to be huge for the A's. And yeah, I forgot to mention the A's. That was a good call out. I think the A's definitely got a big deal with that one.
Yeah.
And then a couple injury notes for the Mariners. Now working back to the Mariners, we'll get into a few injury notes and then get into their schedule upcoming. Victor Robles is set to start a rehab stint at some point, I believe, next week, which is encouraging. We're going to talk about the log jam of the roster, but Victor Robles potentially coming back in the outfield. Bryce Miller, he was quoted saying that he's feeling the best that he's felt all year. His fastball was averaging, I believe, like 94.6 miles per hour in these rehab starts. He was up to like 97 point something. Let me find the actual stat, but Bryce Miller potentially coming back. He got second baseman Ryan Bliss. He was ahead of schedule. He could come back in September. Gregory Santos could potentially come back in September. And then, as we know, Trent Thornton just tore his Achilles. So I guess any other thoughts or opinions on those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think Bliss is super interesting, and I know I kind of circled like Samad Taylor's name, or even just for finding ways to improving, the Dylan Moore and Solano of the roster. So I look at Bliss as like something super interesting. Wasn't even thinking about that. Victor Robles, I mean, that would I think really be huge for our offense, but where is he going to play? I'd say Dom Canzone's done a lot to really prove his starting spot on that team. But at least now you have a really strong fourth outfielder. If anybody goes down, he's there.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Ryan Divish, who's making his comeback. And he put out today, the first tweet I saw from him was Victor Robles will start a rehab assignment with Tacoma on August 12th. So that was the first thing that I saw, and I was flabbergasted is probably the best way I could describe that, to see Ryan Divish back in action. But it was August 12th, seeing him back. You don't know what you're going to get, but him being in the dugout is probably helping. I think him just being around that team is huge. So even if you get him back in September and he's just kind of a moot point, I think him just being on the team, just being back in there, and then if you need to send him back to the IL just so you can have him on the roster and move forward into the postseason, just with that guy somewhere near your team, do it. It's worth it and everything, but. Yeah, Bryce Miller looks pretty promising. He's another guy that's kind of making his way back. I think there's going to be some really difficult. We talked about this specific scenario last week with Donovan Solano and his plate appearances. I think he's currently at 165 plate appearances, and starting at 300 plate appearances. Every 50, he's getting 200K. And so I think that is definitely being considered moving forward.
Stanton's like, you're gone.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Yeah, save 200
that's an easy one. Yeah, 200 grand. Are you kidding me?
Dude, that's a solid dinner in Seattle for Stanton.
That's more cup holders for the suites. We can't do that.
Yeah, I think that's not even a second thought. Donovan Solano is probably the next one off, unfortunately, on the chopping block. And then there's speculation on whether you keep Demo, whether you option a couple other guys. Demo, I don't know how loved he is. He seems like he's very loved with the front office, and then with Dan, with the opportunities that he's gotten and the versatility that he can give you around the field. So maybe that plays a part, but also you got Samad Taylor. At the very worst, he gives you exactly what Dylan Moore's given you. In my opinion, I think he can give you even more with what he's doing down in AAA. And granted, we've seen this story a handful of times. Guys do well in AAA, can't make the jump to the next level, and I'd rather take the chance. And in all honesty, I'd rather take the chance with somebody like that. But yeah, it's some really hard questions over the next couple of weeks, and I think Dylan Moore and Solano are kind of on the chopping block right now, in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, you kind of seen like Dylan, he really has kind of settled into a one-trick pony role, late eighth, ninth inning, bringing into steal a base, and then later on gets pulled for somebody else. So is that worth it in your roster? No, not come playoffs time. I mean, yeah, come playoffs, they might have something like that, but I think Samad can add a different layer to that offense where maybe you can keep him in there going into extra innings.
Not with the speed demon Josh Naylor we got now.
Yeah, that's insane. And then also another note on Bryce Miller. I got the numbers mixed up. He isn't averaging 94.6. He's averaging 96.4, which is up 1.9 miles per hour from his season average. And he topped out at 97.6 miles per hour on Friday. So far in his rehab stints, on Friday, of the 13 hitters he faced, he struck out 6 with 0 walks. And he was quoted saying that this is the best that he's felt so far this year. He's going to work up to, I believe, 70 pitches next. And then after that, one more start. So potentially 2 more starts and we could see Bryce Miller. I thought they were going to shut him down at some point, but sounds like they were able to figure out what was going on. He's got that bone spur that he'll have to get surgery on this offseason. But a big addition, the starting pitcher that they were looking for at the deadline is coming back in Bryce Miller, right?
We're hoping.
That's kind of a guy you want on your team too. The guy's like knows that the team's going places and willing to sacrifice the body a little bit to give him some extra innings. Like I'd be pretty jacked to see Bryce Miller come back out and have a heck of a last third of the season.
Yeah, got the hockey mentality where it's like, hey, stuff's on the line. We're doing it for the boys. So I'm fired up to see him come back. You also just don't know what you're going to get with him, but I think everything's leaning towards positivity and him just being able, even if it's just, hey, go out there 4 or 5 innings, first couple of starts with our guys, and then we'll pen it together and we'll option guys down if we have to. We'll do that, go through that rigmarole that we usually go through. Just to get you healthy enough for once we get to the postseason and then kind of reroute from there. But yeah, I'm all fired up for him.
And then the other Mariners news that just came out this week is that Colt Emerson and Jurangelo Cijntje were also just promoted to Double-A Arkansas. Now you basically have the next wave of your farm system right up there in Double-A Arkansas, which we know from at least the pitcher standpoint, those guys can make the jump from Double-A to the big leagues at any point. I believe Michael Morales is down there currently, who was a minor league pitcher of the year last year. And then you now have some of your top prospects in Colt Emerson, Lazaro Montes, Michael Arroyo. You got Jurangelo down there. Again, Michael Morales, Marcelo Perez, Jared Sundstrom. Like basically a bulk of their top 20 prospects are now at the Double-A level. So that next wave, a lot of them being bats, are getting closer every day. Yeah.
And that's another question mark for next year is who breaks camp, who has to go to AAA, and what's your future looking like at the start of 2026?
Because
right now, like it looks like Arroyos has something to say about it. He seems to be having the best season out of everybody that's been called up so far. Obviously, early for
the 25 game hit streak or whatever. Guy's on fire. Yeah. I'm really glad they didn't trade him. If you had to trade him at the trade deadline to get the guy, okay, it is what it is. But I'm actually really glad that they didn't trade him.
Where does he fit in? Is he a guy you look at corner outfield spot now? Because he's not playing middle infield.
Well, looking at
not Cole Young.
Looking at Cole Young's arm, granted it's second base, but just looking at the way he turns too, I think it's at least up for a debate that down the road they could duke it out and you could see what could happen from there. You still like Cole Young's bat and everything, but it could spark debate down the road.
Good problems to have.
Good problems to have.
Yeah, the assumption was that Arroyo might be a trade chip at the deadline, but that didn't seem to be the case. But yeah, Arroyo, Montes, Colt Emerson, all just 20 years old right now. So a lot of promise coming up. So any other comments, thoughts before we wrap this one up?
We've got the Chicago White Sox right now. We have the Rays,
Oh yeah,
the
let's
O's,
take a
and
look at the schedule.
Mets. Yeah,
Yep.
let's take a peek at that schedule.
Take a little gander.
Gosh.
Yeah, so we got the 3 games set against the White Sox, and we got 3 games against the Rays, and then we head out to Baltimore for 3 at the Orioles, 3 at the Mets, 3 at the Phillies. That'll be a tough road trip with the Mets and Phillies especially, and then back home for the Athletics.
Yeah, super. I mean, obviously, it's the White Sox. Got to take care of business there. Tampa Bay, I mean, I always feel like we have good ball games against them. A lot of similar players on both sides for both teams. So always fun to watch. O's completely down season this year. Trade away a lot of their guys. It should be another series that we win. Now going into the Mets and Phillies, I think that's like the ultimate test. That's the sniff test for us. See how we're looking going to the final couple weeks. But yeah,
You don't
looking
want to see
forward to
Duran
the
there.
no, or even the Mets back end of their bullpen. I mean, they're completely transformed that back end, and that lineup is no joke, in my opinion. So I think that it should be 15th through the 20th should be must watch baseball.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have that little bit of a gauntlet there, 15th through the 20th, and then that next week against the Padres. Did want to also give this, we've been lifers as Mariner fans for the most part. I'd say most of us have been lifelong Mariners fans, and we have just this really cool knack for dramatic flair on the negative side. I'm hoping seeing Carlos Correa go back to the Houston Astros it's finally that time where they get all this momentum and they just take it away and they win the division. The chances are super low, but wouldn't it be nice to just have that dramatic flair on the positive side? The year that the Astros go out and grab Carlos Correa back when they had all this momentum with all these guys on the IL. So one hot take. Hopefully, this is the year that we just kind of change that narrative.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it was like some of the original Astros started to fade away, started to go to different teams. Alex Bregman to the Red Sox, Carlos Correa is gone. Now Correa is back to the Astros. Now it's back to like, all right, everyone absolutely hates the Astros again. I'm on board for that at least.
Yeah. Oh man,
Yeah, I can't stand. Yeah, I can't stand the Astros, so I'd love to see them just burn and have to do a playoff game for a wild card. That'd be the ultimate finish to the season. How are we looking, Gav? What happened?
We're looking good. Our main bag stealer did something real cool.
Nice.
Josh Naylor.
Josh Naylor. He hit a bomb squad.
Oh, sweet. Man. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Both trade acquisitions, bat-wise, hitting dingers tonight. Love that.
Boom.
I was gonna pull up the standings, but I didn't get to it quick enough. But yeah, currently the Red Sox are in the top wild card spot. The Mariners are 2 games behind them. They're in the second wild card spot. The Yankees are a half game behind the Mariners. Then you got the Rangers a half game behind the Yankees. The Guardians are in there. The Royals and the Angels are 4.5 games out of the wild card. So yeah, this series against the White Sox, take care of business. Hopefully, yeah, keep it up. And then that'll be a tough road series coming up. So
yeah, one thing that might play in our favor, I know the Angels, they're not out of it, and that's their whole organization's thought process right now. So hopefully them being able to play against some of these other teams that maybe they can snake a game or two and win a series that they maybe shouldn't win a series against, that ends up helping us out down the road.
Yeah, and Houston just got swept too, right? Who are they playing for that? You guys see that? Not
Yeah,
sure.
they were, was it the Rays?
It doesn't matter. It was sweet either way. Didn't
Yeah,
matter
it was
who they were
sweet.
playing.
Astros suck no matter what. It's all good. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Chad and Gavin. We'll have you guys on again next week. We'll plan to do it, make this a weekly thing throughout the rest of the season. So go M's. We'll see you next time, and make sure to like and subscribe to the Couch GM, to Up West Sports, and we'll see you in the next one.
Out to center. This is cranked.